Okay, so this is approximately where you left off with last week, correct? At least that's my presumption. And let's see here. At least it might be a little, that might be a little further than what we are. Okay. Okay, so what are some functions of hair? What are some functions of hair?
To catch microorganisms.
Maybe, but that's not what we discussed.
Camouflage.
Camouflage could be one. Okay, it's going to be insulation, so it's going to keep you warm. That's true. Now, of course, people consider mammals and humans to be the same, but well, we're all glad you're back from Easter break. Hopefully, we had one that was worthwhile. But we're moving down the final stretch, so. We heard camouflage and we heard insulation. What might another function be? Okay, so could be sensory devices. That's true. Now, some of you might be given answers that I don't remember discussing. It doesn't mean that you're wrong. We just want to go by what we had talked about in class. There's one more. There's probably two more, but I'm just thinking one more. Think of like a white-tailed deer. Why might that be an example of this? Yeah, it might be for signaling. That's right. That's not the example that we gave in class, but it might be on your handout there. But it goes hand in hand with that of a skunk. So why might the tail be a part of signaling in regards to that of the deer? How could that be a signal for other mammals or to other mammals? I don't think they're going to be scared of a deer.
To try to scare them away.
No, I don't think they're going to scare them away.
A warning to warn the other deer in the area.
From they're running towards them, they see the.
To tell them, leave me alone.
And it might be an aspect that I think when we approach it in this manner, say, well, yeah, that makes sense. Maybe it's just a flash towards predators or other animals that you're not fast enough to catch me. Okay, so perhaps they have that white tail up there, just illustrating I'm a fast mammal. You probably can't catch me. And for some, maybe that is true. Probably the only way that they will catch them is to ambush them. In order to do that, that's probably cooperative hunting more than anything else. Very similar to what maybe Ron and Julie did. Okay. It is, but I don't. There we go. So we talked about this. Okay. Said camouflage, sensory devices. Somebody said that. Maybe, I think somebody maybe said waterproofing. And then finally, maybe a type of signaling and defense. Okay, so you said we're on. This is just not cooperating. I don't. Maybe the battery is getting low in this. Okay. So, how many of you think, here we can say very similar to that of humans. How many different types of teeth do humans have?
3.
How many different types of teeth do humans have?
4.
There's actually 4. Okay?
Wait, this?
So it doesn't mean that each and every one of these mammals has these, but if we're talking about these 4 types of teeth, okay, think about it as you are looking at these 2. When you look at those, what type of diet are we referring to? Yeah, they're carnivores, okay? So how would you know that those are carnivores?
They have hair.
No.
Their teeth are
Yeah, because of their teeth. Right. So one of the things I think that could happen in due time, of course it won't happen in my lifetime, and I don't mean to not shed life and joy to yourself, but it won't happen in your lifetime either. But when it comes to domesticated dogs, okay, that's the key term, domesticated. Do those animals need all of these types of teeth?
Yes.
Why would they not?
No. Because they're not living in the wild.
Yeah, because they really don't need canines anymore. Okay. Now, maybe some of these bicuspids that might be a little more accurate, but what I don't like how the author might present this is, to me, bicuspids makes more sense. Some authors might consider those as what we call premolars. Okay? So why would a term like this make way more sense than premolars? And the answer is in the function. So why is that? Yeah, but that might not answer why that would be the case.
The molars are to like mash up bits of food.
Okay, so the molars are the largest types of teeth in any type of mammalian mouth. And if it is a large, broad, and flat type of tooth, it is going to what did you say, mash? I thought I heard that. Mash these together. And when it does that, it just spreads out the surface area. Okay? So why would this not make sense to call these premolars then? Because again, the answer's in the function. What does it say that bicuspids do? Right. And chances are, at some point in your life, everyone's gone through this. For some reason, whether you might be startled or for some reason when you're biting down, sometimes your tongue gets caught in between your teeth. Okay? So what happens if your tongue gets caught in between your bicuspids? It's probably gonna shred it apart. Well, not apart, but it's gonna maybe scratch it pretty good. Now, they're what? They're blue. I'll take your word for it. Okay, so why did they get their name, bicuspids?
Two?
Can you be a little more specific? You're right.
It's bi, and bi means two.
It does. To what though?
To break apart.
So you can have 2 sharp edges to it. Okay? Now, this term may arise again next chapter, but for a totally different function. If you knew anything about the mammalian circulatory system, which maybe some of you do, why might this term be used within a heart? Does anybody know?
Has 2 valves.
There's a tricuspid valve and there's a bicuspid valve. So what that means then is 2 cusps, 2 valves, 2 sides that make up a valve. And really, this is probably more accurate. Okay, so what happens, okay, so as the heart contracts, these valves, they open up, slam shut, open up, slam shut. There's just two of them, so that's why it's called a bicuspid valve. Okay, but there again, you also have what's called a tricuspid, but sometimes that's not the only time that you see something like that. You also see it within the circulatory system then as well. Okay. Does this look familiar?
It's like the dinosaur that was.
It was before the dinosaurs. That's right. So probably the closest relation to this was which animal in that dinosaur video? No. It'd have to be another carnivore. It's right there. Related to the Dimetrodon. G. Think of G.
The Gratosaurus.
I want to say it was over here who had that animal. The Gorgonopsid. That's right. Okay? So, this also has a mammalian trait besides that of teeth. I think with the Adiposaurus, it had something in common with that. It was called a synapsid. What might have been a character? Do we remember a synapsid by chance? Not so much the teeth. Something with the skull. Okay? More so the eyeballs are fixed inside the skull because that's not always the case. A good example of that is that of reptiles because think of alligators. Okay? One of the aspects, their eyeballs are protruding outside of their skull. That's not a synapsid. Synapsid means they're more so fixed inside their skull. And it has something to do with the jawbone as well. Okay. Come on here. Okay. Did I go too far? I keep clicking this and it's not working how it's supposed to. Okay. So then here's that other animal we talked about, the Gorgonopsid, which is also a very large carnivore, especially for its time. And take in a lot of protein. That's what being a large carnivore would be then. Okay? And then there was one more aspect that this Gorgonopsid had that was also a mammalian trait. Why were they so fast?
Oh, their legs were underneath.
What about their legs? Well, you started it. You can finish it. What about their legs?
They're underneath them.
Yeah, they're directly underneath them, which is way more efficient of a design than that of reptiles.
I thought reptile wait.
Okay. Let's see here. Let's finish up this diversification. Just out of curiosity, before we started talking about this, did anybody even know? I think some of you maybe brought that to our attention the first day. Did anybody know that there are still some mammals that lay eggs? Yeah, and it's the duck-billed platypus. That's right. Also a spiny anteater. It doesn't mean that all reptiles lay eggs either. There are some reptiles and fish that do give live birth, but for some reason nature selected these animals to still lay eggs. Okay. want to do this one, and then we'll stop after this for today. Then I just want to look at your orders for just a moment. So then I believe it's fair to say that the prior example is what we call ovoviviparous. This animal is what we call viviparous. So can anyone think of two examples of this? There's probably, I can think of three. Kangaroo's one. That's the most common one, but it's not wrong. Koalas, that would be the more difficult one. I didn't think anyone would think of that, but you are correct. Then this last one, people mispronounce it all the time. It doesn't bother me, but I just...
Didn't you say the other day?
I don't know. So, for instance, a characteristic or trait of this third marsupial we're trying to think of is one where it plays dead. Okay, but that's what people call it all the time is possum. It's actually opossum. But like I said, I don't think there's anything that people get too bent out of shape. It's not as bad as, for instance, this. Because I'm willing to bet that people still get these mixed around.
I don't. I swear to God, I don't.
You there? You said there. I-T-H-E-R-E.
Those as well. Okay. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Holy cow, we opened up the floodgates here or something. Okay? So maybe it's easier to get bent out of shape about these instead of this. Okay. So Okay, you've made your point. You've made your point. Right? Okay? So if an ovoviviparous is an echidna or spiny anteater, and then an opossum is a viviparous reproducing mammal, what would be an example of this third type? Don't say humans.
Bears.
Why is that correct?
Because they give live birth.
Well, so do opossums.
So they give birth to a live thing that can go by itself.
Yeah, you're kind of sailing into a gray area there. One thing to think about, okay, and the reason we can make sense of this, okay, do any of you watch local news if you get the chance, or could you not care less? It's just a question. Okay, so this was found on, I wouldn't say webcams, I suppose, not Ring doorbells. What else might someone have around their house? Some sort of surveillance cameras, I suppose. Okay. Around a cabin around Rapid City. Okay. One thing that happened is it caught three juvenile mountain lions walking up to the cabin. Okay. So the reason that we give that as an example is you said bears. Okay. So that is correct, that bears are placental mammals, cattle, horses, cats, like these mountain lions as well. But it's the behavior that after they're born is that how long would these offspring stay underneath parental care?
A year.
Yeah, and it could be an extended amount of time. So that's why we said we're kind of sailing into a gray area.
So humans.
what did we say earlier? We said,
Do not say.
do not say humans. That's right. So, unless we forgot, which is maybe true. Okay. How are we in our orders? Because we've given 2 of them already today. Probably more if we were paying attention. Okay? So, what order are koala bears in? Those are marsupials. Okay? So, what about a spiny anteater? What is that order? No. Right, but what order is that? It might say monotremata.